Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling what feels like a massive headache for so many organizations, generative AI governance, specifically for companies using AI tools, the deployers. We're talking about adopting things like, enterprise co-pilots, chatbots,
Hmm.
the tools hitting the market fast.
Right.
And for you listening, the core dilemma is probably speed versus security, right? AI adoption is just surging, but the rules, especially around data, accountability, they feel overwhelming.
They really are.
And if you don't have a solid plan, you're looking at huge risks. We're talking data leakage, maybe through prompts, or even serious regulatory penalties under these new laws.
Precisely. And I think we're past the point of just, talking theory about governance. If you're deploying AI now, you need something practical, something that works fast.
Now you can prove work out.
Exactly. Instantly audit ready. That's critical. Things like the EU AI Act's deployer duties, GDPR safeguards. They're making non-compliance incredibly expensive. The real question isn't if you have a policy, it's do you have verifiable proof for your auditor?
Okay, so that's the core problem. Moving fast, but staying safe and compliant. So
Oh.
today we're going to dive into a specific solution aimed right at this problem, the GenAI Assure framework.
Hmm.
The idea is it bridges that gap between wanting to use AI and actually doing it securely and compliantly. So let's start with the regulatory side. This framework, it claims alignment with a whole stack of standards, not just one or two. What are we talking about here? What's it built on?
Well, it has to be comprehensive because for an organization, you can't really solve for just one regulation in isolation. You don't want silos.
Right.
So the framework deliberately maps the EU AI Act deployer duties. Article 26 is the key one there, but
Mm.
maps them against GDPR, UK GDPR, the NIST AI risk management framework.
Just RMF. Okay.
Yeah, and even
Yeah.
specific security standards like ISO 42001, NIST CSF 2.0, and importantly for many, SOC 2 controls.
Oh, that's a broad scope.
It is, but that alignment is the shortcut. It means the evidence you gather for, say, the AI Act also helps satisfy requirements for NIST or SESU too. That's efficiency. That's what people need.
That makes sense. But isn't trying to hit all of those at once just overwhelming? Doesn't it risk analysis paralysis?
It absolutely can, yeah. And that's why the framework tries to distill it down to very specific, actionable things you must do, especially if you're deploying what's considered a high-risk AI system.
Okay, like what are the non-negotiables?
Well, first, comprehensive usage logs. Prompts, outputs, key user actions,
Mm.
all logged, and you need to keep them for at least 6 months, crucially, with integrity protection. We'll probably come back to that.
Okay, logs. What else?
Human oversight,
Hmm.
real oversight, by people who are properly trained and competent, not just ticking a box.
Right.
Then you've got to continuously monitor how the system's operating and have a process to report serious incidents immediately, no delays.
Hmm.
And, this is a big one, if the AI touches fundamental rights, think banking applications, HR screening tools, public sector use cases,
Hmm.
you must do a fundamental rights impact assessment, AFRIA, before you deploy.
AFRIA. Okay, got it.
And the final piece is transparency. You need appropriate labeling, making it clear to people when they're interacting with or subject to an AI system.
This really sounds like a different kind of security challenge.
Yeah.
Think your traditional firewalls or antivirus, they just won't catch this stuff, will they?
Not really, no. The biggest, newest risk is probably data leakage through conversational prompts. It's so easy for an employee to paste sensitive PII, confidential info, right into a chatbot prompt, thinking it's a closed system.
And then it pops out later somewhere else.
Potentially, yes.
Mhm.
Or the model gets trained on it. It's a major data loss vector we didn't really have before in the same way.
Hmm.
And then there's the almost existential problem of shadow AI, employees just picking up and using whatever new tool they find online.
Yeah, the unsanctioned tools.
Exactly. They create these huge compliance blind spots because none of that usage is logged. It's outside your security controls.
Hmm.
Imagine an auditor asks for the logs for a tool your finance team loves, but IT never approved it.
Oof. Yeah, that's a bad conversation.
It's a major, major issue.
So we've definitely laid out the risks and the regulatory pressure. Defining it is one thing, but how do we actually get to enforceable controls? And who's behind this specific framework we're looking at?
Yeah, good question. We should give credit where it's due. This framework, GenAI Assure, comes from Faisal Ali. He's the founder and CEO of LSA AI Ltd.
Okay.
He's a certified cybersecurity and AI security specialist, got something like 25 years in the security trenches. And that experience really shapes the approach here. It's very much deployer first.
Deployer first, meaning focused on the people using the AI, not building it.
Exactly. His core philosophy, as I understand it, is pretty pragmatic. It's like, look, security teams don't need another massive 200-page academic paper on AI ethics.
More theory.
They need maybe 20 pages of clear, specific, enforceable controls they can actually implement, like this quarter. And crucially, controls that generate the specific evidence auditors need to see. It's built for the real world of co-pilots and chatbots, not abstract algorithms.
And LSA AI, the company, they package this framework with a strategy to actually get it done.
Yes, that's the offering. They pair the GenAI Assure framework itself with a pretty rapid 30, 60, 90-day implementation playbook, plus a kind of security by design architecture.
A 90-day plan. That sounds fast.
It is fast. The focus is on quickly getting those technical guardrails up, doing the necessary risk assessments like DPIAs and those FRAs we mentioned, and automating the compliance evidence through proper logging, labeling, that sort of thing. It's all geared towards delivering audit proof quickly.
Okay. And the framework itself, I understand it's built on 5 core principles. Maybe walk us through those pillars.
Sure, it helps structure the controls. First is security and data protection. Pretty straightforward. Objective is reducing data loss, stopping API token abuse, the core security stuff.
Got it.
Second, governance and regulatory assurance. This is about maintaining continuous conformity, making sure you always have that audit-ready evidence on hand.
Continuous conformity. Okay.
Third, ethical and human impact. This focuses on reducing harm, tackling bias, promoting dignity, explainability, the responsible AI angle. Fourth is accountable operations. This is all about traceability, ensuring you have clear responsibility mapped out, backed by those immutable audit trails we talked about.
Right. The unchangeable logs.
Exactly. And finally, number 5 is trust and safety culture. This is maybe the softer side, but critical. It's about empowering your employees to be the first line of defense, making them part of the solution.
Okay, those principles make sense. Security, governance, ethics, accountability, culture. But let's unpack this. How does the framework turn those principles into actual, like, technical actions, things an auditor can point to?
Right, the nuts and bolts. So you look at the specific technical protection controls in the framework, often tagged like GATP something. A key one is identity management. The rule is, all sanctioned AI tools must be accessed via your company's identity provider, your IDP, using single sign-on, SSO, plus multi-factor authentication, MFA. No exceptions. If someone can use a tool without that secure login, it's basically non-compliant from the get-go.
Makes sense. Control the access first. What about the data itself?
That leads to data controls. This mandates using AI-aware data loss prevention, or DLP. Now, DLP isn't new. It scans for sensitive content.
Right.
But the AI-aware part is crucial. It means the DLP needs to inspect the actual prompts going into the AI and the responses coming out.
Not just network traffic.
Exactly. And it needs to actively redact sensitive fields. Think PII, credit card numbers, credentials, any regulated data before it hits the AI model or gets shown to the user in the output.
That redaction piece seems absolutely vital for stopping that data leakage risk we discussed.
It is essential. Then you have controls around the connections to the AI models.
Like the API keys.
Precisely. Secrets management. Those API tokens are highly sensitive. They have to be stored centrally in a proper enterprise vault, not just, pasted in code. And there must be strict rotation SLAs, service level agreements, usually requiring rotation every 90 days or less.
Okay, vaulting and rotating keys. Standard security hygiene, but applied here.
Right. But maybe the single most critical technical control for proving compliance, especially under the EU AI Act, is logging. Detailed logging.
We keep coming back to logs.
Because they're foundational for accountability. Prompts, the AI's outputs, who did what when all key actions must be logged centrally, typically to a SIM system, a security information, and event management platform.
And you mentioned integrity protection earlier. Why is that so important for the logs?
Because auditors need to trust the logs. If they think the logs could have been altered, they're worthless as evidence.
Oh, okay.
So the framework mandates integrity protection, usually via append-only storage or what's called WORM. Write once, read many.
Write once, read many.
Yeah. It means once that log entry is written, nobody, not even an admin, let alone an attacker, can change or delete it. That cryptographic proof of immutability is what makes the logs verifiable. It directly satisfies those regulatory log-keeping duties.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Immutable logs are verifiable proof. Now, let's swing back to the human side, that shadow AI problem. We all know it happens. Someone uploads sensitive data to a cool new public AI tool. How does this framework suggest you handle that immediate panic?
It lays out a very structured three-step playbook,
Mm,
and it should be triggered automatically if possible, or by manual reporting. Step 1 is contain.
contain, how fast?
Fast. The SLA is typically less than 1 hour. You either block the domain of the unsanctioned tool outright, or maybe you reroute its traffic through a monitored gateway if you need to see what's happening, but you stop the bleeding immediately.
Okay, block first, ask questions later. Makes sense. Step 2.
Step 2 is triage. This needs to happen within 24 hours. Security, maybe the user's manager, they run the discovered tool through a specific value and risk assessment framework or rubric.
A rubric. How does that work?
It scores the tool based on things like what kind of data does it handle? What's the potential impact if it messes up? A low score, say 4-6 points, might put it in Tier 1, the fast lane. A high score, like 10-12, puts it in Tier 3, needing full governance scrutiny.
I see. So you quickly sort the minor risks from the major ones.
Yeah.
And then step 3 follows from that tier.
Exactly. Step 3 is remediate, and the timeline here is usually within 5 business days. If the tool was triaged as low risk, Tier 1, it can potentially be fast-tracked for formal sanctioning, meaning you apply the standard controls like SSO, logging, DLP, etc.
And if it's high risk?
If it's medium or high risk, Tier 2 or Tier 3, the block stays in place. The business unit that wants to use it has to submit a full formal governance request. That might require doing a proper DPIA or FRIA before it can even be considered for approval.
So it provides a clear, rapid process for dealing with that inevitable shadow AI discovery.
Okay.
The ultimate goal of all this structure, these controls, the logging, it's the auditability, right?
Hmm.
How does the framework help prove that maybe hundreds of different AI uses across the company are all compliant?
Yeah, scaling the proof is key. It relies on something called evidence automation. The framework requires creating automated evidence packs.
Evidence packs, what are those?
Think of them as digital bundles of proof. They're not just like files in a folder. They contain the relevant policies, the completed risk assessments, DPIAs, RIAs, actual exports from the SUME showing the logging and the worm protection is active, relevant vendor security documents.
So all the artifacts for a specific use case or control.
Exactly. And crucially, all these pieces of evidence within the pack are correlated using unique identifiers like a use case ID or control ID. And the pack itself might be hash protected. This provides verified, traceable proof that auditors can rely on for things like a SST2 attestation or showing compliance with the AI Act.
Okay, this is where I think it gets really interesting for people listening who need to implement this. We've got the policies, the tech controls, but that 30, 60, 90-day playbook you mentioned, that sounds incredibly ambitious. Getting from zero AI governance to audit-ready in a quarter. Where do companies usually stumble with that kind of speed?
It is ambitious, but the speed comes from having the framework predefined. Honestly, the biggest blocker usually isn't the technology deployment itself. It's getting internal agreement and approvals, especially on policies.
The internal bureaucracy.
Right. The 30, 60, 90 plan is designed specifically to force those key decisions early on.
Okay, so break it down. What happens in those first 30 days?
Days 130 are the foundation. The absolute focus is getting the core policy and infrastructure in place. Key milestones are get the company's official AI use policy approved, establish a catalog of sanctioned AI tools, deploy SSO and MFA for those approved tools, and, critically, get the initial SIME logging set up with that worm configuration, plus deploy baseline DLP. You build a security floor.
All right, get the technical baseline down first, then what? Days 31 to 60.
Days 31-60 shift to core controls. Now the focus moves to assessment and people. You must complete DPIAs for, say, your top 10 highest value or highest risk AI use cases. Vendor risk assessments for the tools need review. Role-based training for employees needs to launch.
Yeah, assessing risk and training people.
Yes, and deploying those transparency labels we talked about into production environments where needed. You're actively applying the controls to the highest priority identified in month 1.
Okay, makes sense. And the final stretch, days 61 to 90.
Days 61-90 are about optimization and scale. This is where you nail down the proof and make it repeatable. Your governance dashboards showing compliance status need to be operational. That evidence pack automation needs to be working reliably, generating proof on schedule. And you absolutely conduct an internal audit dry run. Test yourself before the real auditors
A
arrive.
dry run, smart.
By day 90, the goal is to be genuinely audit ready for the initial scope and have the processes in place to maintain it and scale it out.
That clarity, that really rigid, measurable pace, it's compelling. It takes organizations from that feeling of being overwhelmed by regulations to having demonstrable proof, potentially within a single business quarter. That's powerful.
Yeah, in synthesis, I think the GenAI Assure framework really acts as a necessary shortcut. It translates those often high-level, sometimes vague regulatory principles directly into concrete, measurable, technical and organizational controls, security, governance, ethics. It connects the
And
dots.
that connection accelerates compliance.
It accelerates compliance massively, and just as importantly, it boosts internal confidence. People feel safer deploying AI when they know there are guardrails and proof.
So boiling it down, what does this mean for you listening? I think a key takeaway is that ability to tier risk, using that value and risk assessment rubric we mentioned. That tiering is crucial because it allows organizations to put genuinely low-risk AI projects on a fast lane. It stops governance from becoming this universal bottleneck that just stalls potentially valuable innovation across the whole company.
Exactly. You apply the right level of governance to the right level of risk. And maybe a final thought for you to chew on. The framework really emphasizes building a foundational trust and safety culture, empowering employees, making them the first line of defense.
Right, that fifth principle.
Yeah. So if you wanted to actually measure how mature that culture is becoming in your organization, what's a good indicator? The framework suggests looking at a specific ratio. The number of employee-reported AI incidents or concerns versus the number technically detected by your security systems.
Oh, interesting. So more employee reports is good.
Potentially, yes. A higher ratio of employee reports could suggest a stronger, more proactive culture where people feel safe raising issues rather than relying solely on tech to catch problems after the fact. It's something worth thinking about.
That's a fantastic point, measuring culture through proactivity, not just detection. Well, that wraps up our deep dive today into navigating GenAI governance and finding a pathway to rapid, demonstrable audit readiness. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you can take these structured concepts and apply them to your own situation.